What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Fight Out podcast with Ellen Mike. Today we'll break down UFC 310 coming up this coming weekend. Massive card, good prelims, good early prelims. So we've got a fair bit to talk about. I'll be honest, Mike, I'm probably more excited for this card than most others recently, that I can remember.
Yeah, I think you've said it before yourself, haven't you? It's probably something you touch on quite often. When they make the main card quite top heavy and you have like a massive fight on it, like a John Jones or whatever, they don't spread the wealth as well. But
Yeah.
given that this main event's the flyweights, they've sort of spread the wealth right throughout the card and not just the main card, right throughout, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not usually that excited about Pantoja. He's usually got to go fighting him, but you kind of know it's going to go, don't you? Like it's going to go 5 rounds most likely. But with this guy Asakura, because he's coming in, or previous champion, a different organisation, don't know tons about him. I've seen a couple of fights of his, but I'd be lying if I said I've watched every single one of them. It's kind of making me intrigued, and then obviously a bit of a shake up on the main card that we'll dive into. But yeah, I think all in all, I'm probably more excited for this one than any of the recent ones, including John Jones.
Yeah, I think I feel the same. To be honest, I think the John Jones card, other than obviously John Jones Stipe fight, was pretty lackluster, weren't it, for like a pay-per-view card, especially for it to be a pay-per-view in the UK. Yeah. We've seen much better cards not be pay-per-view in the UK, and so I don't know where that came from, how they decided that, but I believe this one's back on TNT Sports for us, isn't it?
Yeah, this is all good. This is just
this one's just on your normal TNT Sports. So to be honest, given the level of the cards right throughout, I might even stay up and watch this one.
I know there's only one little thing, lad. It's Derby Day, and it's 12:30 Derby.
Yeah, I'm assuming we'll all probably be out watching the Derby, won't we? And out after it, celebrating hopefully. So
that's a long day, that. But I am going to try and stay up for this one, I'm not making no promises, to be fair.
Might have to be a little like 7, 8 o'clock when you get home, little nap, couple of hours, and back up.
We'll see. All right, well, we'll start at the main event then. Pantoja Asakura. Like I've just said, and I've seen a couple of fights of Asakura. Obviously, he's come from Risen. It's hard to sort of say where the level of quality is at, to be honest. You've seen people go there from the UFC, but when they're on the back end of the career, and sort of lose the way of it, and then you've seen people coming through that's touted for the UFC, and for whatever reason they don't get in, whether the money's not there in terms of like the first contract or whatever it is. So I'm very intrigued on this one. I like Pantoja a lot in the UFC and what he's done, but I'll be honest, I'm completely open. I couldn't tell you which way it's going to go because I don't know enough about Asakura.
Yeah, as you say, when someone comes into the UFC from another organisation, it's hard to pitch their level of competition that they've been fighting at. Yeah, and now he's coming in with 4 losses from outside the UFC.
Yeah,
that's not always a measure of how good or bad someone is. You don't know sort of who them losses were against and what they've gone on to do. And also, there's a problem outside the UFC with sort of, obviously over the years, there's been problems with testing and stuff, so you don't know whether these fighters could even be super juiced when he's fought them. So it's really hard to gauge.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make the mistake that I made with Carlos Prates when he came in and I said he's had 6 losses outside the UFC. I don't fancy him because obviously he's moving through the ranks pretty quick. So I'm kind of the same as you. I like Pantoja. He's relatively dominant champion, beating all comers thus far, and he hasn't really had a massively close fight. So I'd lean towards Pantoja, but as I say, I wouldn't be surprised by any with Asakura because I haven't seen a lot of them fight.
Yeah. And with the losses as well, one of them was in that tournament, wasn't it? So one of them was when he fought a couple of times in one night, and it was the second fight that he lost. So it's one of them, like, how hard is that to do anyway? So it's kind of like 3 losses for me. And like you're saying, it's hard to gauge. I'm still going to go Pantoja.
Yeah.
Just because I think the level up will be too much initially. But the fact the UFC are banging him right into a title fight at the wrong weight division as well, by the way, which we didn't mention, is testament to how good they think he is. So I don't think he's going to win this one personally, but he's definitely going to be, in and around that.
Yeah, I'm the same. I fancy Pantoja. I probably fancy him 5-round decision, but don't be shocked by if Asakura comes out and surprises us all, because I wouldn't be shocked because, as I said, I don't know loads.
Yeah, exactly. So don't want to spend too much time talking nonsense on a main event when we don't know loads about the opposing fighter. So we'll dive into the co-main. Shavkat against Ian Garry, which is a banger of a fight, by the way. Now, I haven't looked at any odds, but I've seen on Twitter people kicking off. And I don't know what the odds are, but apparently Ian Garry is quite wide, which is bizarre to me. Like, I mean, I don't know if they're doing it because he's coming in on short notice or whatever. I'd still say Shavkat should be favourites, but again, I haven't looked, so I don't know, but people on Twitter were kicking off saying, oh, these odds are way too wide.
Yeah. Ian Garry's good, very good. You don't get to 15 and how many in the UFC is he? Has he had 5 or 6 in the UFC?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
You don't get to them numbers. You don't get to them if you're not an elite level good fighter who can mix it up well. But you know my thoughts on Shavkat. I've made them very clear on previous episodes. He's the champion in waiting, and I think, I'll be honest, I think he runs through him, and I think the odds are where they should be.
Wow. Okay. I don't. I'm kind of torn on this one because I think I think Shavkat is definitely a champion, even if he was kind of nailed on to be the next title contender.
Yeah.
Sometimes you find when they take these little fights in between, you know, he's meant to be fighting Bilal, now he's not. Sometimes you find they come unstuck and it sort of derails them a little bit and they fall off and have to build sort of back up. I think Ian Garry's a big test to do that, to be this kind of fighter because of the position he's in. Like, he's up and coming, he's hungry. He's still waiting for probably his big UFC contract. You know, he's probably making nice money now, but when you start getting into these fights, you get the sort of big contracts. Obviously, you're talking title pictures, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think he's a handful for anyone. And this is like two hungry people that are desperate for that title shot going at it. So I don't think the odds should be that wide, is what I'm thinking that they are anyway. I am kind of torn. The fact you've gone Shavkat so convincingly makes me want to go Ian Garry.
Yeah.
But if I'm being honest, I do think Shavkat does get it done. I don't think it's easy. I don't think he runs through him. I wouldn't be surprised if Ian Garry does it, to be honest. I think even if he got a finish.
Yeah, for me, Ian Garry's best chance is making it a little bit boring, staying at range, fighting with the jab, some nice boxing, keeping it sort of a little bit of a boring fight and going to decision. I think once he starts mixing it with Shavkat and getting in the pocket, and I think once Shavkat grabs a hold of him, it could be curtains. Like
some big shouts from Michael this week.
Shavkat's on my list of top 3, top 5 fighters. So when these fighters come round, I have to go hard on them.
Yeah. No, I know. Look, like I said, he's definitely, for me, a champion in the UFC at some point. It might be next, and it looked like it was going to be, to be honest, because I fancy him to beat Bilal. Yeah. But when fights fall out, it just sometimes, I think it's weird. The UFC's got a weird way of like, it's kind of Game of Thrones. What you think's going to happen doesn't happen, and someone just gets killed. And then all of a sudden, you know, they've got to build back up.
That's 100% a very good point. How many times have we seen that? Like, Conor McGregor, the Dos Anjos fight fell out, Diaz beats him, that becomes one of the biggest fights of all time. How many times have we seen that happen across the years? So it's a very, very valid point. And as I say, like, I wouldn't be stunned if Ian Garry wins. It's not like he's not got no chance. But for me, Shavkat's a champion in waiting, and I think he runs through most of the division. And I think Ian Garry won't be able to stop him.
Yeah. I mean, when you're looking at like the resumes, they're actually very similar. Obviously, Gary's coming off the winning against Michael Page.
Yeah.
They both beat Jeff Neal and Neil Magny. And you kind of look at them and say which one beat them better, and you go with Shavkat.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a war, mate. I'm going to say Shavkat's decision, but wouldn't be surprised if Ian Garry did get it done.
Yeah.
And then moving further then into the card, I'm still looking at the early prelims here. Moving further into the card, for Cyril Gane against Volkov. And I like this fight a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be very... it's going to give us a good idea of where Cyril Gane's currently at. He's off making films and been, he's fought, once in 2 years or something like that. And then Volkov is on a tear since Tom beat him.
Yeah.
Absolutely on a tear, beating people up bad. So I think this is a very good fight for getting the next shot at the Undisputed after Tom Aspinall, that is. And I think, it's going to give us a good idea of where Gane is currently at.
It is, isn't it? That's exactly kind of what it is. You've surmised it pretty well there yourself. Obviously, since Tom Aspinall submitted Volkov. He's gone on a little bit of a tear, beating, obviously not what is the highest caliber of heavyweights other than Tom Aspinall, so I don't really see. So he's beaten a couple of the top 10. He beat Pavlovich in his last one, didn't he, in a unanimous decision?
Yeah.
Pavlovich was his last win. Now that's a big win because for me, Pavlovich and Cyril Gane are the two best heavyweights outside of Tom. So that's a big win for Volkov. So if he's operating at that level, he's got every chance against Gane. It's just for me, obviously Gane's beaten before, and if Gane can keep fights standing, he's the very, very elite fighter. If Gane keeps a fight standing with Aspinall, he's got a chance. He's an elite fighter standing up. It's just obviously we've seen holes in his game twice now where he's been taken down by Francis Ngannou, who's not a grappler, and John Jones, who's obviously a very high-level grappler. But as you say, he's had some time out as well, hasn't he, Silgan? He's had a year out the octagon, so you don't know sort of if he's dusting off some ring rust or if them two, you don't know what them two losses have weighed on him. If he's constantly worried about the takedown, that can affect his striking. So we'll have to see how he comes back from that. But for me, on this one, I'm just slightly leaning towards Gane.
Yeah, I'm going Volkov. Volkov. Partially because of the activity.
Yeah.
He's not majorly active. He's fought once since Gane has, Volkov. But he was kind of, consecutive going up to that as well. And I think heavyweights only really get out twice a year, don't they?
Yeah.
Gane's been kind of once a year for the last couple of years. And I might be completely wrong, but he just looks a little bit all over the place with what he's got going on. Fair play to him. He's got movie roles and stuff like that. I think he's got some businesses going on as well, I've seen somewhere. So it's kind of like external reasons I'm going Volkov. But if you hit the nail on the head, if Cyril Gane turns up, keeps this standing, I think he rolls him. I just don't know if he's still that guy anymore.
Okay.
I'm going Volkov.
Okay, interesting. I've got to admit, I've got a real soft spot for Gane, and I can't explain why. I don't know why. I just really like him.
Well, speaking of soft spots, the next one for me, I've got a real soft spot for Bryce Mitchell. I was convinced he was going to beat Topuria. Me and you were arguing over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that went down like a lead balloon. But he's fighting Kron Gracie.
Yeah.
To be fair, Kron Gracie's he's unranked, isn't he? He's not ranked.
Yeah, he's unranked, yeah.
I mean, he is slick, but he's coming off a layoff and a couple of losses and stuff like that.
He's unranked and he's off the back of 2 losses. But one which was must be 5 years ago or something now. And then he obviously has had 1 fight since then, which he lost as well. It's a strange fight for me. I wanted to touch on
it. That's kind of what I was getting to. It's a weird fight, and it's probably like not a bad matchup for Bryce, but
it's a bad one to lose.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a bad one to lose. If he gives up his spot, it's a bad one to lose.
So I've got a real soft spot for him. I do fancy him, but it's a bit of a weird one for me. You hit the nail on the head there when you said it's a bit of a mad one. It is.
Yeah. It's one of them fights in it where I think Bryce Mitchell's like just an old school fella where he wants a fight, he'll accept a fight, and he likes having fights. Yeah. So I don't know whether he's just sort of had a name pushed to him, doesn't really give a fuck, and he's just signed. And here we are, Kron Gracie. But personally, I think it won't matter too much in the grand scheme of things because I think Bryce Mitchell will get it done.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry too much for him. But again, it's an old dog like Bryce Mitchell who everybody loves. Given a sort of, he's not young, Kron Gracie, but he's young in the game. Giving him a chance to get into the top 15 when realistically, does he deserve one after 2 fights in 5 years, of which he's lost both? No, he doesn't.
I mean, if he loses this, surely he's gone. He's in on his name, isn't he, at the minute, let's be honest.
He's a Gracie, isn't he, of course. We can't skip over that. He's a Gracie, and according to, obviously, I'm no jiu-jitsu expert, but according to Joe Rogan, he's one of the best Gracie grapplers ever.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's a bit of a mad one for Bryce to take.
Yeah.
But I think Bryce win. I wouldn't be confident enough to say finish.
Yeah.
I think. I'm just gonna stick with Bryce win. Not gonna complicate it.
I'm going for Bryce win as well myself. I would probably lean towards a decision, but I'll just go for Bryce win.
Yeah. Okay, and then last fight on the main card, which for me is a bit of a strange one. I'm looking into it now, trying to figure out why they put it on there instead of Aljo.
Yeah,
I can't figure it out. It's in Vegas, isn't it? This card, it is. Yeah, Vegas.
Yeah.
Is Nate from Vegas? Something like that. home fighter. I honestly don't know why they put that ahead of Aljo, but hey ho. Got Landwehr against Du Ho Chui. I think, like I said, I don't think it should be necessarily this fight on the card.
No.
But he did have a banger of a fight, didn't he? Landwehr against Onana or Omana, was it? A couple of years back. Proper fight of the nearly fight of the year kind of contender.
Was it? Yeah. So he's
got a banger in him. Yeah. He's got a banger in him. Du Ho Chui for a couple of losses, isn't he, as well, or a little bit of a weird one, loss win, something like that.
Yeah, I'm just looking there, just having a quick scan through, and Nate Landwehr's got 3 performances of the night and 1 fight of the night in his 7 UFC fights. So maybe that helps explain sort of the position on the card. But like, if you put these two to me, this is a prelim at best fight. This is not a main card fight on a card with some of the fighters that this has got on it.
Yeah, I agree. I could see it being on other main cards, just not this one.
Yeah, of course. If you're talking a fight night or something, it probably creeps onto the main card at the bottom like it has here, but not on a card with this much talent on.
Yeah.
To be fair, like this Du Ho Chui's got fucking 2 performances of the night from 4 fights of the night in his 7 UFC fights. So it is a sort of raw shite.
Poor man's Michael Chandler a bit, just lives in the battle, like.
So maybe this is a guaranteed barn burner, and it's been put where it's been put to get everyone up for the main card. Maybe it's why the UFC are so successful and we're not. Yeah,
probably. Yeah, they're much better at us than a matchmaking organisation, like. But yeah, getting into it, I'm going Landwehr. I was going to go by finish, but I'm not, because I think Choi is a bit too durable for him to finish, and I might be completely wrong with that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just going Landwehr. Yeah,
I'm going Landwehr, and purely for the reasons we've just touched on. How we think they've had previous fights at night, and I fancy him to just sort of be a little bit more technical. Yeah, I think Du Ho Chui will throw caution to the wind a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's the main card, and then the prelims and the early prelims are absolutely ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the prelims, obviously. So the what's it called? The main event's the prelims. They've got a name for it, haven't they? I'll think of it in a sec. But that fight's Dominic Reyes, Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
When I said Anthony Smith, I just thought that McGregor voice goes.
I don't think we're allowed to talk about him. We'll get cancelled.
No,
he's finished, isn't he?
I mean, we can make a whole other video about that, because otherwise we'll be here all day. But yeah, getting into the Anthony Smith fight. Again, I've seen on Twitter something mad about the odds, but I don't know what way. Because I haven't looked. I don't know if Smith's a mad favourite. I don't know if Reyes is a mad favourite, but one of them apparently is.
Okay.
Yeah, so or the odds are a lot wider anyway. One of them's quite a strong favourite.
Okay. I certainly wouldn't have guessed that on this fight. Like
I wouldn't. I'd have had this pretty even, to be honest.
Yeah, I would have myself. I would have imagined this was somewhat of like a 4-5 and an 11-10 or something.
We've gone through the main card. I'll get the odds up now, because the prelims, they're not going to sway me, because they can all go either way, to be honest.
Yeah.
So let's have a look. All right.
That has shocked me, that, because even ranking wise, it's like, isn't it like rank 12 versus rank 13 or something? They're both. They're out, aren't they?
They're not as wide as. Saying that they are a bit. So Anthony Smith is 9-4. And Dominic Reyes is 4-11.
Oh Christ!
Don't know if I agree with that. Like, I know Anthony Smith likes a loss, but
to be honest, it hasn't swayed me, because I was on Anthony Smith anyway.
To be honest, so was I.
Yeah,
it is kind of swaying me a little bit. I've just completely contradicted myself, but I'm going to stick with him. I think Smith gets it done. Like, I feel sorry for Reyes, just with the sort of run he's had and the luck he's had.
Yeah.
But I think Anthony Smith just stays in there a bit more. And I can see both of these getting hit. And then I can see kind of Anthony Smith being the one to kind of grind it out more than I can see Dominic Reyes doing it. And for that reason is why I'm going Anthony Smith. But I'd have had them a lot closer, like, than them odds. You're not
shocked at all if this is your fight of the night. Now, Dominic Reyes, really, when you actually think about it, obviously he had that contentious fight with John Jones, which I still bang the drum at. I think he won that fight. I know it was close and John Jones was the champ and whatever, but I think he won that fight. And then after that, I think his next 2 fights after that were Jan Blachowicz and Yuri Pachka. So I think what?
He lost 4 on the spin after that,
He lost 4 on the spin, but I think that the next one was someone not quite at the same level, I'd say. But he fought Jan Blachowicz and Yuri Pachka, and he got knocked out in both. And now that Yuri knockout was probably one of the gnarliest you're ever going to see.
Nasty knockout, that.
That spinning back elbows, you remember it?
Yeah.
So I think he's had a bit of a tough run, and I'd like to see Dominic Reyes put his level together that he showed against John Jones, because mate, he'd be a challenger if he can put that level together. He'd be a challenger for Potan. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's right up at that level, but it's if he can still show that level, and we just don't know if he can still show that level, do we?
I think that run that he was on was like kind of not right place, right time, but like he was winning and he was going and he like his confidence was there and stuff like that.
Yeah,
he was kind of overachieving in a way. I thought, even though I thought he always used to think someone's going to bingo him. And then when he had that close fight with Jones, I completely changed my mind. And I was like, oh no, he's like a proper contender. And then he went on that skid. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I thought. He was good. Well, not necessarily a 4-fight skid, but I thought he's going to end up getting bingoed by someone. Yeah. And he kind of done that and the confidence was working for him. But I'd love to see him come back, because I agree with the John Jones one. I'm a big advocate of, you've got to go out and beat the champion. And in most places, either finish him or win all 5 rounds, more or less, which he definitely didn't do. But you couldn't really argue with a 3-2. Like,
no,
you couldn't argue with a 3-2 either way there.
Definitely not. And I think obviously John Jones sort of attracts quite a lot of attention, whether good or bad, doesn't he? And I think sort of when you are that good and you do have a close fight, people are shocked by the fact it's a close fight. So I can totally see the argument for Jones winning the fight. I just think to go that close with Jones and then to be put in with 2 absolute killers and knocked out by both is pretty harsh.
Yeah, it is. It is in hindsight. And with that being said, I've got a feeling he's going to get bingoed as well on Saturday by Anthony Smith.
Yeah. After all I've said about Dominic Reyes, I fancy Lionheart to come through. Like,
yeah, 9-4 is tasty, just for a straight win.
Do you know
finishes? Yeah, I haven't got the finish odds yet.
I can't really believe that, to be honest. I can't really believe them odds for that.
I seen someone on Twitter mention Ian Garry and just this fight, so I didn't know what way it was, but they were like, the odds are wide, and I was thinking, I would have had both of them quite close, to be honest. But anyway, moving further into the prelims, another kid that I like, Chase Hooper.
Yeah.
Proper little baby-faced assassin, and he just wouldn't think nothing of him. He'd absolutely tie it in a knot without thinking about it. He's fighting Clay Guida, which is a big fight for him, big name to have on your resume if you can get it done. I'm just looking here. Chase Hooper is actually quite a strong favourite, which, again, I don't know whether I agree with, but I would have thought he would have been favourite. And I'm going to go Chase by decision if you can, but the odds aren't out for it just yet.
Yeah, I think for me this one is a bit of a foregone conclusion, as maybe the odds do suggest. I think Chase Hooper will come through quite handily. Clay Guida for me should have been done years ago.
Yeah,
but you never know. Sometimes the old dogs have got a bit of fight in them.
They have. Just looking at the UFC website, I've actually jumped there to the early prelims. My apologies. That's on the early prelims, not the prelims.
I was about to say you threw me off there with you.
Because I was looking at my phone for the odds, and that was below the Anthony Smith one, so I just went on that. So apologies for the mix-up. Then we've got Mozart against Aljo on the prelims.
Yeah.
This is the one that I thought should have been on the main card.
Yeah.
Very good fight for me. And again, very, appealing in terms of seeing where Aljo's at in the 145 division. Because I think we mentioned it on a previous one about Taporia. If Taporia, comes through, beats Volk, which looks like it's going to be next, Aljo gets a win here. And then you've got Aljo against Taporia, kind of like a wrestler against striker, but Taporia can obviously grapple and stuff as well. Once he's had that kind of test, Taporia, if he comes through it, that's when you can argue about potentially moving up in weight and stuff like that, because he's kind of taking on challenges then. With that being said, if Mozart wins, it's a big fight again. Yeah. So, I'm very excited for this one. Very surprised it's not on the main card.
Same sentiment as you. I can't believe the position of this fight, and I don't know whether. I think if this was Moshe versus anybody else in the division, I think it probably would be on the main card. I think there's something going on between Aljo and the UFC. There really is. I don't know if you ever saw them. I don't know. Did you see the videos where Hunter and Dana like sort of fell out with them because he didn't want to take a fight or whatever?
Yeah, when he was champ.
Because he was hurt, yeah. Like, there's obviously something going on. He's obviously either not easy to deal with, or he's done something in the past, or I know his style isn't the most amazing to watch, but it's still impressive. Like, to be able to hold people down and punish them is still impressive. And it's rank 5 against rank 9 in a division where you could argue the champion of that division is the most important man in the sport at the minute. Now, I'm not saying he is, but he's certainly in the conversation, isn't he? He could be the biggest draw in the sport, and this is the 8th fight from the finish. Like, that's just wild to me.
Yeah. You saying this is a number 1 contender fight?
It's as close as, isn't it? Obviously, you've probably got maybe, obviously you say Volk for the body of work, and then you've got Diego Lopez for pure raw excitement. But if Movsar comes through this, or if Aljo does and takes the number 5 spot, they're right in the mix.
Yeah, you sort the words out of my mouth there. I think if someone wins this impressive, they're next after Volk.
Yeah.
I mean, Volk's not like it's next. You never know the UFC, but I'm taking it that it is. But yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I think if someone wins this in a big way, they're next.
I think for me, sometimes when fights are sort of, and it's easy to say this given that one's ranked higher than the other, but I think sometimes there's different things on the line for the fighter in the red corner and the fighter in the blue corner. And I think if Movsar comes through this and comes through it handedly, if he's 19-0, one of these Russians who can grapple, he can strike, he could easily be next if he comes through it well. I think even if Aljo comes through it well, the UFC will put him in there again, and not with Ilya. So I think sometimes there is different things on the line for the fighter in each corner.
Yeah. With this one, to be honest, I have got to go on Movsar.
Yeah. I think Movsar myself. I think he's a bit slept on, to be honest. Obviously, he's slept on based pure on the position of his fight on the card, but like he's beat Diego Lopez, he's beat Arnold Allen, he's beat every comer, and I know he's won a lot of his fights by decision. I think as every fight in the UFC been by decision. So yeah, you kind of do get skipped a bit, but some of his wins are still impressive, whether decision or not.
Yeah, I just think with Aljo, we don't know enough about him moving up to featherweight. Now, he's wearing a small bantamweight, but he's not a big featherweight either. So it's kind of moving up against a contender that's been there. He's quite comfy in the division and stuff like that. I'm always like kind of wary of them fights for, you know, the more known fighter, shall we say, in Aljo, because obviously he's been champ and stuff like that. And I think, you were spot on there. Like, if Aljo loses this fight, it's not like he's done at 145 or anything like that. He should have the fight he's got to do to rebuild. You know, I mean, if he wants to, he's probably set already. He was champ for numerous fights, getting pay-per-view points, stuff like that. So if he wants to, kind of thing, I do think he does from what he's saying in interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is going to be Movsar's night. He's going to move on and ride in that title picture.
Yeah, I do feel a little bit sorry for Aljo, to be honest, because on his title run, obviously he won the belt, and he's never really got over the way he won the belt, has he? He won the belt by an illegal knee, didn't he?
Yeah.
In a fight that you could argue he was losing.
Oh yeah, definitely losing. You could argue he was. But
then how'd you overcome that? You get straight back in there with the same fella a year later and beat him. Beat him by split decision in the rematch, but he beat him. And then the 2 names he put on his resume after that, really.
Just about to say that.
The 2 names he's put on his resume should put him down in like UFC history, because he's beat 2 of the best bantamweights in UFC history, and honestly, he's beat 2 of the most hateable fighters ever in the UFC. So I would have thought he'd have got a few style points for that, but I think the way he won the belt has hindered him massively, Annie.
Yeah, I mean, the timing of those fights, I think, is what prevents like the legitimacy of it. Now, I like him. I think the legit wins. Like, don't get me wrong, but obviously he fought TJ off a layoff, and it was like in TJ's last fight, didn't it, because of his shoulder injury?
Yeah.
He fought Henry coming back off I think it was 2 years or something like that.
I think it was more, I think it was 3 or 4, to be honest.
Yeah, it might have been. And then, like you said, obviously the way he won the belt. But if you look at that names on that list, who was it? You had Corey, where he backpacked it. Then he
Yeah,
had Piotr Jan, where he won the disqualification. Then he absolutely come back and just put a school on him. Then he had, I think it was TJ, then Henry, or the other way around.
yeah, it was that way, yeah.
And then he had Sugar Sean, where I had him winning the first round, Aljo, and then he made a mistake and absolutely got knocked out. But that was the fight that he was arguing with the UFC over, that he was saying he was injured for, and he didn't fight, but they were kind of putting the pressure on him. So you don't know, what there is to that. I hate the injury shout, but if you are injured, you're injured at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So if he'd have beat Sean or fought Sean at a different time, you're talking best bantamweight of all time. And that includes Henry Cejudo, gold medalist in the Olympics, like he likes to let you know.
Yeah, I know. And that's what I don't get about him, but we've touched on him, we've spoke at length about Aljo, but we both think he'll get beat.
Yeah. I know, but he is the bigger draw in that fight, isn't he? Like we said. But he's the bigger draw by far, Aldo.
He's the bigger name, and he's probably the one people that know more about, but he's probably also the one who's mishandled a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. And then, so moving on, Brian Battle's fighting again. He's always good to watch. There's a load of good fights.
Yeah.
Chris Weidman, Eric Anderson, very intrigued to see after it was pulled last week. Felt our last on Weidman, to be fair, because he looked good. Is that at a catch weight or is that the same weight?
I think I've seen that's a catch weight, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Just on the UFC website, it's a catch weight. Don't know what the catch weight is, but it's probably like...
Yeah, what is the weight though, yeah?
195 or something. It'd be 191 maybe.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm still going Weidman, even though he's not fighting in his hometown anymore. I'm going to stick with my pick from the original week and go Weidman.
Yeah, I'll stick as well. I'll go Weidman as well. That's a fun fight, and I like Weidman. I hope he gets the win.
Yeah,
that might be heart over head, that pick, but I'm going Weidman.
Yeah, I think mine is heart over head, to be honest.
Yeah,
but, I love losing money, Mike. Honest. And then the last one I really want to speak about, to be honest, is probably Michael Chiesa against Max Griffin, because I think this could be Chiesa's last fight, because I think he's going to get beat.
Okay.
And then where does he stand? What's he fighting for?
Is this fight at welter or middleweight? This one?
Welter.
Is it welter? Yeah. Max Griffin's fought at middleweight before, hasn't he? Am I getting that confused?
He's moved about, hasn't he?
Has he? Okay. Did Max Griffin fight that? He's fought that kid, hasn't he? We watched the other week, that Michael Morales. He's fought him. I remember watching that one. Yeah. I didn't really have anything specific to say about this fight. I quite like Michael Chiesa. I think he's had a bit of a bad run with the green at times. At one point, he was a challenger, wasn't he? So I'll probably edge towards Michael Chiesa. Do you mean?
Okay. I mean, I might be completely wrong about his last fight. By the way, I was looking at his record before, and he had quite a decent skid, and then obviously he's beat Tony.
Yeah.
And that. Well, no, Tony's his last win, isn't it? He's beat Tony, and that's it. Like where is he? You know what? Yeah. Unless he is literally just fighting for money, and he's just like, oh well, I'll just get the paycheck or whatever.
Yeah.
But I've always had him as he wants to try and climb back into the top 15, top 10, top 5 title shot kind of picture, and then where does that leave him, kind of thing.
Yeah, I really can't see him doing that now. But it's just if he wants to stay and do like sort of fun fights in it, I suppose. I
think Tony was just fun one though.
Yeah.
Like, who else would you want to see him in there with, really?
Yeah. But if he was going to go, you'd think he would have gone out on that. A win against Tony Ferguson. Yeah. He could have gone out on that, couldn't he? But he stayed. So I don't know whether he stayed for something else and some other interesting fun fights.
Yeah. Well, that sums up the ones that I wanted to speak about on the card that I kind of like, had an opinion on, so to speak. Is there any more you wanted to speak?
Just looking through the card here, not particularly. I think we touched on before we come on pod about Vicente Luque. He's supposed to be fighting Nick Diaz, wasn't he? Who dropped out, and he's now got that Temba Garimbo. There's not really loads to say on the fight. I think Luque is quite an overwhelming favourite, but that Temba Garimbo is quite exciting, because I'm pretty sure he's the one who The Rock bought a house for. Yeah. So I like to see him do well, just given the situation. But not loads more to talk about. But I think it'll be a fun card.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's definitely a dog bet in there looking at these odds now. So I'm going Volkov, who's 2-1.
Yeah.
I'm also, where's them odds gone? I'm going Anthony Smith. I just keep thinking of that McGregor voice notes every time. He's 9-4. So that's coming out at nearly 9-1 as a double.
Yeah.
You throw in someone else in there that you fancy, a Nate Landwehr.
Yeah.
I fancy Max Griffin. They're, 8-13, 4-6 kind of odds.
Yeah.
So a decent bet there. You're talking 15, 16-1. So there's a couple of dog bets in there. And we disagreed on a couple this week as well, which is good.
Yeah, indeed. I'm just looking here. And like American odds don't fully understand them, but like a -400, that's a favourite, isn't it?
Yeah, minus is favourite, yeah.
Yeah, so the UFC, I've got Anthony Smith down as -340 and Dominic Reyes as a +270. But then when you look on like a UK betting, Anthony Smith's 13-5.
Wow. What was it? -340.
Anthony Smith's down as -340, Dom Reyes +270. Which is interesting.
We might have fooled the system here.
Weidman.
They're big on Anthony Smith. That's more like I fancied Anthony Smith. I was doubting myself when I seen these odds.
Get Anthony Smith on now at 13-5, and get Vicente Luque on as well because he's -650 on the UFC, and he's 8-5 on UK betting.
See, the UK betting doesn't have a clue about. I mean, neither do we. But
no,
UK betting certainly don't.
Well, might have filled the system there.
Yeah, well, there's money to be won there. Like I said, there's a dog bet, and then if you just want to follow us in on a couple of them shouts there, Anthony Smith is a massive favourite on the UFC website and a massive dog on Sky Bet at the minute. So let us know your thoughts. Yeah, let us know down below if you agree, disagree, or not. If you could, like, comment, subscribe, it'd really help us out. Let us know if there's anything more that you want to see, like the interview type stuff we've done with Chris Duncan. We're trying to get a couple lined up. Just getting them over the line now as we're growing. It's proving a little bit difficult, but we'll get there. And thanks for watching. See you all next week.